Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session on Industry Connect session on ethical hacking. We have a very special speaker today. He is none other than Mr. Sudhanshu sir. Sudhanshu sir is a senior consultant in a Fortune 500 company. I think sir will engage you this exciting 1 hour with everything that you need to know with respect to ethical hacking. Sir is very good in that field. So let's introduce sir. Sir, welcome to today's Industry Connect session. Sir, Sudhanshu sir. Hello. Sir, can you hear me?
Hi, thank you. Sorry, I was on mute. My bad.
Okay, sir. So welcome to today's your Industry Connect session on ethical hacking, sir. Please feel free to engage the students with everything that they need to know in ethical hacking. So we're going to officially start the session. You can start, sir.
Sure. Thank you very much. So just to introduce myself, right? I have been in this industry for almost about 20 years. So I have seen complete evolution of end-to-end IT, right? Complete IT industry evolution. So I think you must have already heard about what I have been doing, and today I'm here to walk you through on ethical hacking. So is my screen visible to all of you? So if
Yes, sir.
okay, fine. Okay, let me just go ahead with the presentation mode. Okay, so today we will just go through a few topics, and the first one is we'll just go ahead and give an introduction on cybersecurity and ethical hacking, right? And that will also include some legal aspects to what we are supposed to do, what not. And then we will just walk you through on the threat landscape today we have, followed by the cyber kill chain. What are the steps actually it is being followed by hackers? And then towards end we will have question answer for maybe around 15 minutes. So with that, I'm just going ahead with the introduction, right? So if anything that you do not understand, if you want to ask question, you can still interrupt me in middle also. So not necessarily that you wait towards the end of the session, right? All right, so let's understand the some of the terminologies on ethical hacking. So if I talk about right, threat. Threat is nothing but an environment or a situation that could lead to a potential breach of security. So some of the terminology I'm talking about. And similarly, you might hear about exploit, right? Exploit is in this hacking terminology. You have a piece of software or any technology that we are actually going to take, use it to take advantage of either a bug or any software glitch or any vulnerability leading to unauthorized access where you do not have but you are getting access. So there can be also privilege escalation and or denial of service. So we'll come to this, right? Denial of service in the sense there is a server which is serving on some of the purpose, right? Some application is being hosted or something like that, and bringing down that. So that is your denial of service. And then there is another terminology called vulnerability. When we say vulnerability, this is the existence of a software flaw or logic design or implementation error, right? So that can actually lead to an unexpected or undesirable event, right? Executing bad or damaging instructions to the system. So that will be your vulnerability. And then attack, usually attack occurs when a system is compromised based on certain vulnerabilities. And if we talk about hacktivism, right, it actually refers to hacking for a cause. These hackers will always usually have a social or political agenda. So their intent is to send a message through their hacking activity while gaining visibility for the cause of and themselves or any other thing, right? So many of these hackers do participate in activities such as defacing your websites, creating viruses, and implementing denial of service, right? Or any other disruptive attacks to gain notoriously for their cause, right? Hacktivism commonly targets when we say hacktivism, right? So just understand this word hacktivism. It commonly targets the government agencies, right? And then it can be to political groups or communal groups, right? Any other entities these groups or individuals perceive as bad or wrong, right? So that is your hacktivism. So actually, most people think hackers have extraordinary skill and knowledge that allow them to hack into computer system and finding valuable information. Or the team hacker actually conjures up say images of a kind of a young computer, uh, like who just types a few commands at a computer screen, and then you see that, okay, so the computer splits out passwords, account numbers, or other confidential data. But in reality, actually, a good hacker or say security professional acting as an ethical hacker just has to understand, right, how a computer system works and know what are the tools to employ in order to find a security weakness. So hackers can be different types of things. So as of now, are you with me? So I just want to make sure that you can also ask questions in middle. So let's make it more interactive, right? So uh, Krishna, you are the organizer, right?
Yes, sir.
So how is this audience like? Are there anybody who, any group or segment of people who already
Uh,
know about a basic level of security, cyber security?
Hi.
Uh,
Yes, sir. They're basically cybersecurity students.
okay.
So they will answer if you ask questions in between, or they will ask questions to you. So it is interactive, sir. No problem.
Okay, so do does anybody know what category of hackers do we have? I mean, different type of hackers and classes. So on that way, if I ask anybody, can anybody answer?
Sir, basically we have three types of hackers like black hat, white hat, and gray hat hackers.
Excellent. Okay, so yeah, so white hats are your good guys, right? Ethical hackers, and black hats, we say that bad guys are, they have that malicious intention, right? And gray hat is the uh, good and bad mixed. So depends on the situation. So they, well, since you understand the type of hackers, let's discuss about what hackers do, right? So this may seem simple. They hack into computer systems, but sometimes it's not that simple. So there is a process that should be followed, and information that needs to be documented, right? So ethical hackers are usually motivated by different reasons, but the purpose is usually the same as that of the crackers. So they're trying to determine what an intruder can see on a targeted network, right? Or you can say system, and what the hackers can do with that information. So this process of testing the security of a system or network is known as your is something called pen testing. So does anybody have done any pen testing from in this group, or you know what a pen testing is?
Sir, I have tried for the basics that hack the box and try hack me some devices like Windows XP and all virtual box, virtual devices.
Okay, very nice. So try hack me is as you have just called out. So for everyone's benefit, try hack me is a free website. You can go there and register. So in case if you are looking for practicing hacking practices, right? So there are a lot of options available, depends on different the skill levels. So that's a very good website, and I would suggest everyone who is willing to go through the this career of security, you must try that try hack me website. So that is very good. That glad to know that, okay, you have been trying on that. So what are the skills required to become an ethical hacker? So hacking is, it's kind of a, if you just talk in general, you will find lost somewhere, right? So there are several verticals into that. So on the skill wise, right? So if you say you should in simple, keeping it simple, right, must be your computer systems experts who are very knowledgeable about your computer programming. And it's not necessarily that if you do not know hardcore programming you cannot do, it's not like that, but it is it's how good you are going to be, right? So if you know the programming, if you know networking and different operating systems, right, including your Android, iOS, right, your MacBook, right, and your Windows, Linux, and everything. And so if you have a little in-depth knowledge about highly targeted platforms, right? So as I called out, right, Windows, Unix, and Linux in that case. So it's also a very good requirement that you need to possess those skills. And uh, more often you need patience, persistence, right? And you need to have immense perseverance, qualities for to become an ethical hacker, because you have the length and breadth of the domain, right? The time and level of concentration required for most attacks to pay off. So networking, your web programming, and database skills also this will really help you out. So when we do hacking, right, and you also have vulnerability testing. So what we have even pen testing also. So most ethical hackers are very well rounded with the wide knowledge on your computers and networking, especially because the whole attacks, everything happens over the network. So you need to, it's a must thing that you need to know what is networking, how it works end to end, right? So if I knew in advance, I would have come back with some of the demos on networking side as well. And in case if there is anything that you can gain knowledge on specifically tight nosing your network, that will be really helpful. And in some cases even ethical hackers will act as part of a tiger team who has been hired to test your network and what all the computer systems configuration you have done, right? So this is where you try to find vulnerabilities. So there are something called vulnerability assessment and pen testing, so VAPT, that is called as. And so that you need those are the skills that you need, right? So you need the more specialized skills in one area of your computer system and networking. So most your ethical hackers are very knowledgeable about security areas and the related issues. But one thing is don't necessarily that have a strong command of your every countermeasure, right, that can prevent attacks. But it's very essential that that countermeasures also, so attacks as well as the countermeasures, right? What actually we configure to prevent. So that also, unless you know that, you cannot be a good attacker. So you should know the countermeasures so that you can work how do you break those barriers, so on that context, right? And so the ways of conducting ethical hacking, right? So you need to the word ethical itself talks about many things, right? It has to be ethical, right? So ethical hacker should know the your legal implications, also the penalties of unauthorized hacking. So ethical is always authorized. Like even when you are hacking into some system, you need to make sure that you have a written permission from that person or that organization. If you are not doing that, if you are trying to hack into somewhere without their permission, so that is considered as illegal, right? So no no ethical hacking activities associated with a network pen testing, or you can say security audit. It should begin until a signed document, signed legal document, just like that it is not. So until you have been given that signed legal document, right? So usually ethical hacker actually express permission to perform the hacking activities. So when you receive, then only you can start. So that is from the target organization where you are supposed to hack. So it should not be indirect, right? So it should not be indirect, it has to directly reflect that you have been given permission. So as an ethical hacker, right? It's there needs to be judicious with their hacking skills, and recognize the consequences of misusing. In case if you have been given some authority to do something, right? You need to make sure that you are doing your you are exercising your hacking skills within that permissible guideline, within that area, within that specialization. You should not be misusing your the this opportunity to exploit something else. So that will also be considered or as an illegal activity, right? So these are the legal implications. Any question as of now? Anybody has any question in this introduction slide?
Sir, you have said about the exploit. Sir, I have heard about the exploit writing. Sir, what that mean?
So exploit is it's like there is something called payload, right? So you are using you can have a script, or when we say about payload, right? You need to write down what are the things that it will do once you attack, right? Once you attack, right? So what it has to be what exactly it is supposed to do. When you exploit it, attacks and it gives you control. So if you have a command and control server at home or somewhere, right, where you are trying to pull the information from the target system, so exploit is the one who actually it is it uses whatever vulnerability you have, and the actual the payload that you have written there. So it can be a Python script, it can be your Power BI. So you need to be a programmer, or at least a script person to write that. So that is actually exploit is the one, the payload, or you can say that script or program. So that is one which take advantage of the vulnerability you have. So for example, if there is any port somewhere in a system which is open, so now you send your payload by using that vulnerable port. So exploit, when you are writing, it's your line by line code or script, what exactly it has to be done once it executes on the target machine. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, any other question? Great. Okay, so when I do not hear any question, I will assume as either you have understand completely, or maybe you didn't understand. So I am assuming now that you have understood everything that we have discussed so far. So please do interrupt me in case if you need any other inputs. Okay, so moving on, right? So threat landscape. How many of you know what threat landscape is? I hope uh, you are all aware of it, because I'm assuming since you are all cyber security professionals, the students, you should be aware of it. In case if you are not aware, I will go in depth also, no issues. But I'm just trying to walk you through the threat landscape, right? This is the the current one right now, what are the things that we have, what is vectors of attack, right? So if you see this graph, right, if you go to the right side one, so there are 8 critical principles, right? So I was talking about denial of service attacks continuing worldwide. So what is denial of service, right? Now say that you are accessing WhatsApp or Facebook, right? So the hosting, where it has been hosted, now if if that goes down for any reason, maybe because of an attack, right? So you are bringing down a service, so that is your, you are denying that service to be up, so that is your denial of service. It is also called DOS. So denial of service is something that you actually do use one computer to bring down a service from a target machine. So that is your denial of service. Okay, so now there is one more term into that, one more terminology into that. So DOS and DDoS. So DOS, denial of service, and when we say DDoS, that is distributed denial of service. When a attacker is using one single machine to attack a target server or any other host, so that is called a denial of service. But when the attacker is using multiple machines, right, so that is called distributed denial of service. Is using multiple systems, multiple computers to bring down a target machine. Now if I give an example, right, if you must be knowing what is ping command, ping command, right? So an ICMP is the protocol that uses ping command. So when you ping some system, it just responds you with its alive information, right? Keep alive information. So now it takes some part of your bandwidth, network bandwidth. Now imagine instead of one ping, right, you are using a script to ping continuously millions of time, right? So definitely the target machine will spend some time answering to these ping commands. So if it is too many of that, so eventually it will try keeping busy so much answering to this command that the performance of that will actually come down, or at a time it will not be able to do any other operations. So the server was meant for some application hosting, but it has now the bandwidth has choked so much that it is not able to cater to that application, right? It's not able to keep that application up, or it's not able to respond as it is expected to. So what is now, what if, so this is called DOS, denial of service. Now it can be your banking system, it can be your any other financial organization and any other organizational server target, right? So that is one thing. And now if you are using multiple systems and you are attacking from multiple systems, that becomes your distributed denial of service, DDoS. And the see, second thing is your malware, right? It still possesses significant threat. Now, what is malware? Your virus or anything. All these things are your virus, Trojan, right? Trojan. These are all your malwares, which actually resides in system. Once it is penetrated into your system, it resides. It also there are many aspects that it gets hidden. So it multiplies itself. If it is a virus, it will spread to multiple programs, right? If it is if it is worm virus, you have a Trojan. So many categories of that. So that is one other thing, your threat landscape. And then the greatest threat may come from within. Sometime what is happening is within your organization also. It can be intentionally, it can be unintentionally, it has been happening. So these are the findings as of now, right? So the security threats. And ransomware poses a grave risk to availability. You know what is ransomware? So ransomware, anybody knows what is ransomware?
So ransomware is something like when hackers hack someone's device and ask a ransom for the for as a demand that they demand money for them, and means they compromise someone's device like that.
Excellent. So in ransomware, right? Usually, these guys will try to encrypt or the system and data from a organization or some critical data, right? And they will demand money. So this has been millions and millions of earning hackers get through this. So this is one very very you know, important aspect of the threat landscape that we are talking about here,
If
right?
you are changing the slide, sorry to interrupt. If you are changing the slide, it's still on slide one.
Oh, is it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I am on slide 3, I think. I'm on slide 4 actually. So what is happening? I'll just stop sharing and share it again.
No, sir. Now it's in fourth.
It's in fourth now. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know why it is taking so long. So okay. So it's all visible clearly, right? So there's no issues. Okay. So I think let me make sure that it is changing. Okay. So this is we are talking about ransomware, right? So there were a lot of incidents like this in the past. In ransomware, you must be aware of it. So this is mainly meant for money, and then your social engineering. So social engineering is like your uh, what you can actually get from like your what are the common types of there is something like somebody is shoulder surfing behind you watching and seeing your password what you type, or somebody is trying to pull out some information that you have in internet, right? Your Facebook ID, your Twitter handle, right? So all those things, right? So they will try to see if there is any identity or any information that they can gather through what is available in public domain. Sometimes some of the information might be private, but they will try to ask your friend or your colleagues, right? So to get that information, maybe it may be your phone number, it may be your employee ID, or it may be your any other information. So those are all part of your social engineering. So this is one level of information that they are trying to collect. So in case if they are succeeding there, they will carry out they will use those as an input and carry out further kind of the gathering information to ensure that they reach to your the target device. So that is your social engineering. So, and the biggest threat are not found in the headlines. So there are so many things goes in behind the scene, and so many things. So what happens is which are all not in headline. Right? Sometimes for the sake of their internal reputation, also it will not come to headlines. So imagine if some organization, if there is something that they had to deal with a ransomware. Now they cannot put in public because a lot of times you have customers who are relying on your infrastructure. So you as an organization you handle it with a backdoor entry. So it's there are certain times it happens in that way. And then the next one is we are slow to detect and respond to threats. So if you see over a period of time, if you see, right, hackers has been they have been more prompt in finding out the vulnerabilities before it is even realized by an organization, right? So we have every Tuesday, second Tuesday of the month, it is it's called Patch Tuesday by Microsoft. So what happens? It's something like we are trying to detect. So Microsoft is trying to detect what all vulnerabilities we have. So over for every month, what all they find, because your threat landscape today is so much that every now and then you find some vulnerability. Okay, because you keep on adding things, you keep on adding features, you keep on doing your development ongoing, right? So you find it's being said that every 1,000 line of code will have at least 1% vulnerability identified. So on that context, if we see, Microsoft is it has been doing a practice that every second Tuesday of month, it is called Patch Tuesday. So they will try to figure out all the vulnerabilities that they have, and they'll come back and apply that. So that is kind of right. We have been slow to detect. So what if something happens in between, right? We are there are a lot of times we neglect things, saying that, "Oh, no, this has been taken care," and not with the clear accountability that we should actually, the level of work that we are supposed to do on security, we are not doing that. And in fact, the security, there are a lot of the aspects came into picture. A lot of people took that seriously after this COVID pandemic, because most of the people started working from home. That's when they realized, right? A lot of bank fraudster happened, a lot of ransomware happens. So all those things happen. That's when off late it has been now realized by people. But organization at org level, it was very limited people's knowledge in the past. And size doesn't matter is the principle that we talk about. Even if it is a small you know exploit, or even if it is small attack, it is your weak point, that it's the vulnerabilities that could have gone extremely bad. It may be that the attacker didn't have that intention or that level of skill to exploit. So it's not the size that we should actually think about. It's the vulnerabilities that how we are not able to patch those. So that is one of the critical principle that every organization or a individual at our level, right, the devices that we are using, so we should be cautious and cognizant about those. Any question here so far? Okay, so I'm taking that as no question. I will go to the next. So if you see here the vector of attacks, right? So the denial of service is dominated by 34%. So the most frequent attacks have been on the web apps, right? You have been seeing that, okay, there are a lot of website sorry application is being removed from Play Store as well, right? So in web apps, it's a everything is complex, jumbled out there. So everything is you don't know what is happening there, right? So anybody using Wireshark by any chance? Did anybody use Wireshark? When I'm talking about web apps, right? So how this poses danger to your HTTP and HTTPS, right? Secure. So any website that you go, if it is not with HTTPS, you should not be typing any username passwords on those websites. So just be aware of that. Right. So you should not be doing that, because that actually captures your plain text completely. So your password will be as a plain text on those. So just no exercise caution over there. Okay, so I was talking about social engineering. I hope everything you understand what social engineering is, right? It can be human based, it can be your computer based, right? So it is there are a lot of things on that, so you can go a deep dive when you get. And then in 2022 we also from the COVID-19, right, global pandemic, so there are a lot of exploitation on this scenario. I just wanted to bring it to you, right? So on delivery standpoint, So you had a lot many things. You had email phishings, you have SMS. So you can say that I have a testing app. So there are fake testing apps, right? So there were attacks against health organizations as well, and to steal the data from the medicals. So that has happened, and you had attacks against any teleworking infra. So what are the exploitations happened also is been mentioned here, right? So how things were compromised, right? You had a Trojan, you had ransomware, right? And so this is one thing, right? So you had data theft, you had financial fraud, a lot of money that was stolen from people through conman and other things, right? And a lot of personal information was kept, right? So those are the things that just wanted to flash it. And then we will go to the next one. So this is the cyber kill chain actually. So how the actually the attack happens, right? So this is to understand this, right? the the hackers.
Sir, I guess you have to reshare the screen because it's still in the fourth slide.
uh, okay, how about now you're able to see?
Sir,
Yes,
but
sir.
it's better to reshare.
Okay, I'll stop and share it again. In fact, I will share my whole desktop itself. I think maybe sharing that uh, only presentation is not working. I'm sharing my entire screen. Is this visible now?
Yes, sir.
So, okay. So I was talking about the cyber kill chain, right?
Sir,
So
excuse me.
yeah,
Sir, I have some questions.
okay.
Sir, what about VPNs? Is that good to use while surfing internet, and how does it works?
VPN, right? Um,
Yes, sir. Virtual network.
yeah. Okay. That's a very good question. So VPN, what happens? I uh, it's you're creating a secure channel. So let me just have my epic pen here so that I can whiteboard this. So in VPN, right, what you do is your let me know once you're able to see my whiteboard. Okay, so I'll just try to.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
So for example, if you have a router, right, your home router, for example, right, so you are um, or you can, even if you are sitting in a public cafe somewhere where it says it's free, right? You have your system. Now your system is connected through either your home router or the router of that maybe airport or railway station, wherever it is. And see, ultimately that is your ISP, right? So it's a public domain. Now what is happening is when it is taken to your organization, right? So your organization is here. I'm just trying. Okay, so now whatever is being routed here, so there will be a lot many people like you, that there will be lot many requests like this, right? So your channel, so you create a private channel, you create a private channel over this public network. So this will be encrypted. This will be encrypted, and it is there is a private channel that you create, and it to take through your organization. So there is nobody else who can actually sneak into this. So it is not that big. So VPN, when that is actually meant for that. So creating a private and secure channel within the public domain is your VPN, right? Now how this is done actually is it's a different thing. In case if you want more, I can go to in little in depth. But if you understood that what data you are sending, it is encrypted. There will be some algorithms like your MD5 or whatever the keys are there, the same thing you will have here to decrypt. So it is a secure channel, nothing to worry about that when you are using VPN, right? And there are some of the compliance also your company actually mandates. So that will not allow, if you are not in compliance, that will not even allow your data to flow. So you are using a secure channel for that, for sure.
Sir,
Uh,
hello.
yeah. Any other question?
Sir, like a lot of websites have been banned in our country or in some other countries, but how does these applications makes us to get into access with that by using VPN? How does they have this permission, or how does this works?
So see, whatever your application, your origins, right? So if you go and see the source of that, where it is originating from, right? And all the related contextual, all the related things, it will be blocked. It's like your region wise, it can be country wise. So like that, you have your the firewalling, right? So if you do, you must be aware of your IDS, IPS and all, right? At broader level, right? You by default you deny all, right? Any incoming traffic, right? So whatever if it's a through public domain, whatever you are getting, right, by default you actually do deny all and only allow what is supposed to be authorized. So when you say a lot of websites are banned, right? And
So,
how do we still access those, or is it something that how do they access you, or how is that your question?
yes, sir. How does they allow to access for that kind of websites using their application? How does they get the permission to get enter into that kind of things, which is banned?
No, see, if it is banned, you now there is okay. There is something called Tor browser. Have you heard about it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We know about all.
So if you use Tor, right, you can still browse a lot of things. So it's about your dark web, dark net and all those things, right? So there are it's for tracing purpose, right? It makes it very difficult. So people use Tor to reach out to those, and then it's a double-edged sword when you approach dark web. It's with your own risk, and nobody usually suggests you approach that to go and access that. That is one reason. And you can, now imagine that you are using a VPN, right? Now say this ISP, this router is in India, right? And if something is blocked here, what we are using is you are trying to use another country's VPN, right? So you can do that as well. So you are using a VPN from say Singapore, right? So
Okay.
if you are using the VPN server of Singapore, and if this is connecting, right? So you are still able to access some things which is blocked here. So it depends on what channel you are using and where it is. Like there are different channels are there, but it will be slow for you, right? So India is much faster, and because it's closer to you. And if you approach different VPN server from different countries, it will be a little slower, but obviously if it is not banned there, you can still see those contents. Any other question?
Sir, sometimes that there are some websites that we can't access through even through by VPN using VPN. Like sir, I there is a e-commerce site like UK Deals. I tried to enter that for register that, but it I could not be by using VPN even they detected that. So is using VPN and IP masking both are same?
Oh, see, VPN and IP masking both are not same. IP masking is different. See, IP masking is a segment of IP. For example, right? Say there is a particular IP range which is given to either your region or your city or your organization at that particular country, right? So now if that IP is so that IP is masked for only to be used for that particular region. Now you are using still VPN, but it's in in firewall it is blocked. So though you are allowed to see things through VPN, you log in through VPN, you cannot still access those because your IP itself is blocked. Your source IP range has been blocked, so you cannot do anything there.
Sir, if we do IP masking, then can we enter? Can we have the access?
Yeah, if you do a static masking, right, it should be able to, because see that's where you are saying here, when you set a rule, right, you are doing deny all here, right? So instead of when deny all, by doing your IP masking, you are saying that deny all but allow this because I'm asking this and this is safe, right? So you are allowing that. Manually you are overriding. So you in your ACL you are putting that, okay, so this can be allowed, and definitely that can be done. So if you are doing manually, right, overriding that. But that's very these are all the rare cases, right? So you have exception based scenarios. And when a series of IP range is being blocked, then you need several exceptions to allow one out of that. Right? So that is. And any other questions? So it's interesting. I think people are coming up with a lot of good questions. So it's better than just sharing slides, right? I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So, in dark web, lots of illegal stuffs are there. Lots of illegal stuffs are going on. But why can't government ban the things and all? Why they allow till today?
So
Why they
this,
can't handle?
yeah. So this is very good. So we think that, okay, things are as transparent as we think, right? So first thing is, if you remember in the threat landscape, I told that we are slow in finding out vulnerabilities. That meaning we do not realize until unless we are being attacked. So there was never been a how government things works, right? So there has to be a dedicated team who actually works on innovation and towards finding out with that energy, that passion, right? So which was missing all these days, and that's why now that we have shifted our gears, and we realize that how important the security is. And when we got some of the things hacked by external your hackers from different countries, right? And you realize how important this is. Now they have started taking off the spy apps which were actually used without our knowledge. They were taking a lot of information, right? And then you cannot do a blanket ban unless it is uh, it's you have pointed that, okay, this is actually causing the trouble. So if you do sometimes a blanket ban on certain policies, or if you implement that, right, you might end up losing some other things also which were really essential for us. So that's why it has been it has millions, because millions and millions of records are being verified, right? So you see wherever we are finding it out, how best we are using our skills to find out, how fast we are able to find out, we are trying to eliminate those. So it has been slow. I acknowledge that it has been slow all these days, but now it is picked up so fast. So it will be right, because the I think the expertise and the skills also, people have been growing on those area, but we are still not there. If you talk about competition, we are still not there. So there are a lot of crucial information like your defense information, or your very critical security information, country specific. They are all kept in a very secretly or isolated way, or where there are a lot of layers of security. It's called defense in depth. So those have been implemented, but otherwise, from common people who have been suffering of late, now is the time that we have realized, and we are moving ahead towards getting a better and better security life. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was
Okay, so I think we have just 4 more minutes left. uh, any other questions we have?
uh, Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, have you undergone any kind of real life cyber attacks while you are working in your company, or recently have you faced any such kind of things, and you have solved those issues and all?
Yeah, there have been many of that, in fact, because it has been, see, that sometimes it will be small, and sometimes it will be a database related. So sometimes it is IoT related. So it has been, I cannot put the specific informations, because those are all within that NDA
Yeah, it's
agreements.
confidential. I know, sir. I mean,
But
just some examples like what happened and how you solved it, like that, without naming any kind of persons or like that.
So yeah, so one thing is your there are sometimes your um, edge devices, right? So we have seen a high profile guy who was sending critical information to UK. So that was one of the thing that we could able to get through the our tools that we were using, right? So it is like this person has a friend there, and all the information he was sharing at code level information. So we were able to catch those, and using the tools itself, right? So there have been a lot of tools available, very good tools available, which you might not be knowing, but at with some logic that we apply, right? So alerts comes, and the moment we see the suspicious, we go in depth with what all things that he has been doing, what all files he has accessed, and within this time frame, what all was sent, including very minor details, right? What file, what change at block level, what was changed, everything we could able to identify. And yeah, so that person was immediately fired. So it was like I was talking about, it happens sometimes within organization itself, more than the external factors. Many times it happens within organization. So this is one of the example. And we had also some of the somebody working on the SQL data was impacted. We have lost I think it is around 17 hours data. So that was one other thing. So but yeah, so since last probably 2 3 years, I haven't seen any major such, but there have been small ones which we just try to tackle it at the very beginning itself. But yeah, so what we usually do is, right, the moment there is something, you see that something entered your network, first thing is you, during that, you try to isolate that immediately, right? And then you figure out where and all it has spread, and what can be done. So all those, that's a different process altogether, right? So it's a security governance that is called, like this is called ethical hacking, that domain is called security governance. So that there are a lot of process standards and policies we implement, a lot of controls we implement on that. So I yeah, that's to answer your question. Yeah, definitely yes. So this has been,
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
yeah. And so I hope you are aware of this cyber kill chain. So these are the process actually. So first is a recon, right? It is called recon. So recon is like you are gathering all the inputs, all the informations, right? What is required, and then you use your weapon, right? And you deliver through I don't know if you have seen Kali Linux. I hope people you are aware of. There is something called VirtualBox. It's the VirtualBox. You install Kali Linux, and I don't know if it is there. So there are a lot of tools on this, right? You can use to attack, and you can. But yeah, so nobody suggests you to do unethical attack. So it's always ethical attacks, right? And see, sorry. Mm. So there is something called MSF console. So there are a lot of things can be done here to hack, right? So I'll just quickly walk you through some of the things that I had written in a document for as an example of how actually the Android or something is being hacked. So if you are aware, it may be for you. You see here a lot of tools available in Kali Linux, right? So information gathering. So this is your recon, right? The vulnerability analysis and your web application analysis, database assessment, password attacks, right? Wireless attacks, reverse engineering, exploitation tools. What are those things available? Sniffing and spoofing, post effluxions, all these things, forensics, so social engineering tools. So many of them are there. So in case if you do not have, try to install a Kali Linux in your virtual box, and you can also install there's something called Metasploitable, so that you can use your own machine itself to hack. So it's not illegal. So you can do with a free hand. So there are a lot of things other offensive security and your how to use a lot of the tools mentioned here. Okay, so I think we are running out of time, but I'll just quickly tell you what are the things that we had here. And your for the lab, right? If you want to set up a lab for ethical hacking, you can actually do some of the things, right? What you required a a host machine, right? It can be Windows, OS X, Linux, or whatever, and then you need at least a Kali Linux to be installed, and there's something called Metasploitable. If you do Google, you will get it, right? And a Windows, so that it actually makes it perfect for you to hack it, right? And so all these things. So I hope this session is, if it is being recorded, you can go through this. I'm just quickly sharing it, right? And then you have see there are a lot of sites. For example, you can this is one of the site where you can put any website name. It will give you a lot of information about that. So I gave scanme.org is one of the website. So this is actually, again, you are doing a lookup. Either you can give here, or sometimes there is something called who is lookable. So you just type the domain name here, right, and see what are the information you are getting out of that. So with so much information that you get, right, that is this is part of your recon, right? You are trying to gather information. Now you are seeing the network, you are seeing their IP address, right, where the country, you are seeing a lot of things, their DNS server and all those things, right? Your IP geolocation, right? What are the you see here their IP address, what OS they are using, what is the web server they are using, right? So all these things, the sender policy framework, or what are the things you have, right? So many information that you get today with these tools, which is available online, right? So it's like a site report, right? Netcraft is the one that you can use and see how what are the information. Similarly, you have who is record, right? So this also gives similar records here. the name servers. It gives your domain names also, domain servers also, right? And the IP address you have some of the other things also here, right? So you see this record completely. So when you are gathering these information, these are all the first level of information you gather, and then you keep on trying to weaponize those things. So just quickly, if you have maybe a couple of minutes, how do you hacking into Android? By creating an APK file. So this APK file itself is created in your Kali Linux, right? So using this Metasploit. So I have just try, you can use it in your machine itself, right? So you open a Kali Linux, right? So you need to create an Android app, right? APK file. So how do you create that? It is actually you open this MSF console, right? So if I go back to this, and I can type, I just typed MSF console, right? And now go back to this. I will just try to, okay. Right, so then you do the, these are the commands that you need to put, right? This is, I don't know if it is visible properly. So MSF Venom is one of the command, and then you give that -p and Android interpreter, and this is like your reverse TCP connection you are trying to get. And you will, once this is done, right, you give the your L host, local host and IP address, and then you give a port number, and this creates a APK file, right? You send this APK file to any Android device. So under the device download folder, right, if anybody who is installing that, you will be able to get through that, right? So you what are the things that you use, it's mentioned here, right? So and in the end you actually exploit, that's the command you use. So there are a lot of things like this that you can do through Kali Linux. But make sure you do not try hacking from somebody else's system. You do it for your information. So there are something, okay, portmap.io also you can go through to see that what are the things, open ports and everything is there, right? So this is just, I'm just scrolling over this. In case if people, all of you know about this, it's fine. If you do not know, you can just give a try how it works. It's really fun working with Kali Linux. So these are the commands you see, right? So this is the command, right? So so this is MS Venom is the command. So these are all things that it will work, right? If you give it, so you have a lot of options here. You see here, a lot of options. You can use that and create a your payload and everything, right? So you can create APK and do that. So this is how it is actually used, your ethical hacking. But ethical, as the word says, you have to be ethical. So make sure that you are not doing anything unethical, because this will actually attract penalties and legal consequences. Depends on the law of your land. So with that, I think we are almost on the top of our, and almost 9 minutes past. So I hope this small session has been helpful. Do let us know if there is anything that you need to know. Okay, so Krishna, over to you. I think we are almost done. So let me know.
Good evening, sir. This is Anna here. So, on behalf of Krishna, sir, I'd be giving a word of thanks. So, on behalf of Jain University, I would like to thank you for sparing your time for our students and giving such a wonderful session. So, we have got some of the basic informations about what is hacking, then what is DOS, and what are the different types of hackers, and landscapes and so on. So thank you, sir. Thank you for providing such a wonderful session. And yeah, thank you, students, for for asking too many questions to sir and clearing your doubts. Yes, sir. That's it, sir.
Yeah, a very good evening to everyone, and thank you, Sana, and thank you all the students who has been patiently listening. And I had a really nice interaction with you folks. It was really great that many of you came up with a lot of questions, and that's what is required, and that's what is the need of our, and that's what is going to take you to the next level. Unless you ask questions, you remain where you are. So thanks for asking those beautiful questions, and thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, sir.
Talk to
Thank
you
you,
later.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, sir.
Yeah. Somebody's asking a question.
Yeah, sir. I have some more questions. So can I contact you later? How can we contact?
Yeah, you contact through organizer. No issues. You articulate your
Okay,
questions. Contact through organizer, and I'll be able to answer all those things.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.